everybody. Welcome in to the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane. He's Donnie Freeman. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Kawhi situation. I touched upon some things yesterday, but there were a few things that I didn't dive deep into that we're going to tonight. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about all this conversation swirling about, are the Lakers actually better without LeBron James? We'll talk a little bit about that, plus some really important results around the NBA for us to dive into with the playoff hunt really heating up. Donnie, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. You?
Doing well. I'm excited to dive into this stuff. There's some crazy things happening around the league right now, so a lot of stuff for us to get into. Oh, I guess I should change my my background over to make it. There we go. Now we're official.
I couldn't tell there's crazy things going on. The only thing on my timeline is one thing.
What?
It's one thing. The Lakers stuff. That's the only thing on my timeline. It's every other post, dude. It's crazy.
All the Donnie, my goal, I don't know if I will accomplish this. My goal for this show is to make it through a LeBron Lakers conversation without getting on my soapbox about stan culture.
Oh, that's only amplified this. So yeah.
That is my goal.
Good luck.
That is my goal. We'll see if I can make it or not. But first, we need to talk about the Kawhi situation. So the Kawhi story is one that we've been following quite a bit over the course of the last 6 months or so, since this whole thing became a thing. And the Clippers, I think in the court of public opinion, are very much considered to be guilty. Like, this is a slam dunk. Clearly, they did things that went outside the salary cap and funneled money to Kawhi Leonard through a third party and drop the hammer on them. There were some details revealed by Pablo Torre at the Sloan Analytics Conference that was pretty interesting and concerning. And to me, I didn't go super in depth on this when I talked about it a little bit yesterday. To me, it's setting us up almost as though there's a sense that the Clippers are going to be found not guilty in this whole situation. So let's take a look at this, because there's some concerning things here that I think are almost like preemptively throwing into question whether or not this was even going to be a fair investigation to begin with.
Yeah.
We will aspire to have a fair investigation. All right. So give this a listen, though, and see if we could find the problems here with this situation.
How else do they deliver it? And then how else do you get what's the most important, which is repeat business?
So on the notion of repeat business and the finances of an investigation, something that I think is very interesting is who ultimately pays the bill for the investigation. So in this case, David, who pays the bill for the walk-tell investigation into the Los Angeles Clippers?
Steve Ballmer. Little known fact there is that when you become an organization, when you become a franchise, you buy team, you have to sign a document, an agreement with the league. And one of the provisions is, should you ever be investigated, you will pay for it. It is it's one of those things. If you're a team owner, you know that is real. It's not talked about a lot, but yes, Steve Ballmer is paying. But Steve Ballmer is, I wonder whether he's going through the hourlies of Wachtell.
Okay. So
he's paying the people investing.
He's paying for it, right? I mean, come on. Like that right there, like, doesn't like, if we're talking about power structure here, that effectively means that the people in charge of investigating Steve Ballmer their boss is Steve Ballmer.
Yeah, they're literally bought by Steve.
He's paying. Okay, so that in and of itself, like, that's obviously not great, right? Because as they were just alluding to a moment ago, like, one of the things that you're concerned about if you are a firm that is investigating is repeat business. Guess what you're not going to get if you dig up a bunch of dirt on the person that's paying your salary? Repeat business. That's, yeah, exactly. As Kara says here in the chat, conflict of interest. Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
But I got to say, just in the interest of being neutral here, It's funny, and also funky, I guess, that put that in the CBA for this to happen like that. Like if any other team would be investigated, this exact thing would also be happening. It's crazy.
This should not be coming just from Steve Ballmer. Like if the NBA is paying for it in a roundabout way, Steve Ballmer as an NBA owner will be paying for it, but it should not be directly the team is funding the investigation, right? Like the investigators are billing their hours for investigating Steve Ballmer to Steve Ballmer.
And that's my point, though, is that like it's just weird that if anybody else is getting investigated, the exact same thing is happening. It's not just like that's a unique case. Why is that the way it is? That's just weird.
I'll tell you this, Donnie, when I was a teacher, every once in a while, if I had a quiz or something like that, I was like, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. It's not a very important quiz. I would have my students grade their own quizzes. They could grade their own. And guess what magically happened?
Everyone came back with A's.
The scores went up. It's amazing how much better my students did when they got to grade their own quizzes. Like it was, I don't know. I guess they all studied that much more, right? That clearly must have been what was happening.
And the funny thing with this is that Ballmer is somebody that we know has no problem throwing his weight around, his checkbook around. And so I'd have to imagine.
Was that a weight joke about Steve Ballmer?
No. I meant literally. But I'd have to imagine that he's probably contacted somebody, that's probably working on this and said, hey, you say that I can find a way to get you another $1 million. Can we sort this out? Or how do we sort this out to where the Clippers get out scot-free?
Right.
Put it all on Kawhi. That's what I want.
It's all Kawhi's fault.
He did it. He put it on it was his idea. He asked for all this stuff. It's well documented. He
didn't plant the trees.
Yeah. He didn't do his part.
All right. It gets worse.
Well, they accumulate.
Yes, they do.
And so something that I want to point out as a result of this dynamic is that as for my other aspiration sources that I've been talking to I started this investigation in February of 25. It's been more than a year. There are several key sources who say they have refused to talk to the NBA's investigators because they essentially see those investigators as working for the 140 billionaire who's ostensibly being investigated.
Okay, that's catastrophic right there. Key sources, people with key information on this situation are refusing to cooperate because they see the investigators as just working for Steve Ballmer, and so they're not going to get a fair shake anyway. So that means that key information is not being included in the investigation. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's just, like the comment said, just crazy conflict of interest here. There's so many ways this could just go absolutely wrong. That's crazy.
So that also not good in the interest of finding the truth. If people with key information are not participating because they're afraid that the investigation isn't going to turn up anything anyway, because it's Steve Ballmer funding the investigation. So that's not good. Yeah. It gets worse.
And when these sources tell me that it feels like the NBA is, quote, paying to borrow someone else's letterhead, it is hard to ignore what the NBA's high-powered law firm of choice has not been asking about, which they are all talking about amongst themselves. But this is what's especially crazy, about not asking about the team's owner in particular, right? As much as I want to take credit for...
Okay, hold on. We got to pause right there. So Pablo is saying that his sources that have gone and talked with Wachtel are talking amongst themselves and like going, hey, did they ask you any questions about Ballmer? No. Did they ask you any questions about Ballmer? No. And the sentiment coming from them is that the NBA is paying for the letterhead. In other words, what they're asking for, what they're really paying for here is a piece of paper from someone else that's not the NBA saying we totally, fully, completely investigated and the Clippers and Ballmer didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
again, that's not great, right? So all of that kind of leads us to, are they, Donnie, are they setting us up to prepare for a ruling that the Clippers did nothing wrong in this situation? But I think the court of public opinion right now widely believes that wrongdoing occurred here.
Well, yeah, because we always get stuff like this, but there's no stuff going the other way, right? So it's only natural that people would feel that way. And like I've said, I have no problem with it coming out that way, that they didn't do anything, as long as they can come out and prove it. You know, if it's, we didn't investigate deep enough, so we didn't find anything, that's entirely different. If you can prove that there was nothing there, then that's fine. Like that is what it is, right? But it feels like they're not even able to really get to the heart of it all because of this stuff. So that's where that's interesting to me.
Well, take a listen to this part.
Or the novelty of this whole investigation. This is not the first time that former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer has been investigated for alleged cap circumvention. Do you remember the other instances that Steve was involved with?
The other repeat offenses? Well, I would say there was the DeAndre Jordan Lexus deal.
Yep. So $250,000 as a fine in 2015. They had offered DeAndre Jordan in the pitch meeting a deal through another team sponsor, Lexus in that case. That was the first one in 2015.
And then the second one was that Kawhi? Yeah, it was Kawhi when he came and signed.
It was the first time that they investigated Kawhi Leonard and cap circumvention and all that stuff in 2019.
Well, that one didn't have there was no tidy bow at the end of that.
In fact, the league apparently found nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And that was after the Lakers and the Raptors complained to the NBA about Uncle Dennis Robertson, his unlicensed representative, and Kawhi Leonard himself. And that's also in addition to 3 different civil lawsuits that we've covered in this series before, each of them having to do with the Clippers' recruitment of Kawhi. So that's the backdrop on all of this. And so my basic presumption was simply that Wachtell might want to ensure that they found out what all of these employees may have known, David, about Steve Ballmer, just as a pure CYA strategy. But the scope, as they strategized around it, was not that.
It's much easier if you don't ask the question to say that it was not part of the investigation than to ask it, get an answer, and then not have it in the report and say, hey, we didn't deem it report worthy. It's easier to say it on the front end than the back end.
So again, setting up here for this to come back with nothing happening. I think, and we don't know for sure what the ruling will be or not be, but if it comes back that nothing, and it could be happening any moment, could happen tomorrow, could happen a week from tomorrow, could happen a month, we don't know. I think this is Pablo setting up to address because there's going to be a lot of people that are upset if it comes back that the Clippers did nothing wrong, if that's what the finding is. Mm-hmm. And then the question will be how is that possible that they found nothing wrong? They're already setting up and providing us with the answer to that.
Yeah. And that's where it's I think they have a really tough job ahead of them, if that is the case, of proving, like I said, that nothing was found. And then even if they can't prove that, convincing others is going to be a whole other thing entirely, right? Yeah. People are not going to be happy. They're not going to be content. Mm-hmm. And some people have completely, from the jump, been of the mind regardless, just because of bias or whatever, which is, I mean, that's fine if that's how you want to be, but that doesn't really hold any weight in an investigation or something like this. But I think for the people that have been just kind of patiently waiting, seeing the evidence unfold, or what appears to be evidence unfolding, and mostly like 99% from Pablo's side, because we're not hearing anything from the Clippers or Ballmer or anything like that. It does appear like, again, stuff has happened, but I mean, if they can say otherwise and prove otherwise, it is what it is. But I just, like I said, it would be really unfortunate if they come out and say, hey, we didn't investigate this, we didn't find that, so nothing happened.
Oh, wait, were we supposed to ask about that? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Where did that money go, by the way? Like, where did that, like, what, 48 million? Where did that go? What happened with that?
It's buried under. It's buried, of course.
Yeah, with all the
planted.
trees he planted.
It's been planted.
Yeah, there it is. He returned it to the earth. And isn't he still owed money, by the way? So like, what are we doing with that?
Yeah, Kawhi's going to come after him. Hey, I need to get paid for the trees that I didn't plant.
By the way, just so you know, you still owe me money. So.
just so we're clear here. So look, I think if it comes out that if the end result is, given that this information is already out there, and Adam Silver, I don't know if you saw another part of this show, but he literally taped the information that I was talking about yesterday to the bottom of the chairs that Amin and I forget the attorney's name there that they were sitting on. He taped the information to it, which was an original like whistleblower complaint from 2023, alleging that amongst a bunch of other things, that in the mix of all these complaints, that the Clippers were circumventing the NBA salary cap by funneling money to Kawhi Leonard, like exactly what this whole thing has been about. So this was a sworn under penalty of perjury complaint against Aspiration. But it was taped to the bottom of the chair that Adam Silver was sitting in, is the bottom line. So he's like, Adam Silver, the information you needed was way closer than you ever thought that it was. It was actually under the chair that he was sitting on. But should this come back that the Clippers did nothing wrong, the NBA, because this info is already out, there's already this belief that the Clippers did do something wrong. Now there's a very shady version of events that if they're found to have not done anything wrong, well, the investigation is screwed up. It's paid for by Bomber. Sources wouldn't talk because they felt like the investigators were representing Bomber. The investigators weren't asking questions about Bomber, all this stuff, right? Now all this is out there. If this comes back that the Clippers did nothing wrong, the NBA has to lay all their cards on the table publicly and say, why? This is what we discovered. Like, just the way Pablo has put everything out there publicly, the NBA needs to tell that side of it. The Clippers need to tell that side of it, beyond just Steve Ballmer going on ESPN and saying, oh, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know what happened. I have no idea how Kawhi got that money. I don't know what his deal was like with Aspiration. We just introduced them. Then we had nothing to do with it. I don't know, right? That's all he kept saying. They're crooks. They're criminals. They defrauded me. I don't know. The NBA needs to put all the information together in a concise way, put it out there for public consumption so that people can see, okay, there's another side to this story that we weren't privy to. Otherwise, this is not going to be received well if it comes back that there was no wrongdoing found.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, pretty unfortunate how all this could have potentially unfolded. And one thing we've talked about is, if nothing happens here for one reason or another, do we not just see more teams try to find ways to do something like that too? That could be a thing.
And that's why I think if there is wrongdoing found, or if there isn't, and the belief is that they did, the NBA, they can't come out of this with any other team owners feeling like, or any other teams feeling like, hey, that's a path for us. That's a way for us to get the next star. Hey, who's the next big free agent that's coming up? Who knows? Maybe it's Luka in 2028. Maybe it's somebody else. Can we get this dude like an extra $50 million? How can we do that? Hey, we know you can bring in more money than the $250 million that your NBA contract is worth. We're going to get you an extra $100 million, and we're going to funnel it through this organization here. We're going to make this all work. And we know we can do it because of the Kawhi situation. Yeah. You can't have anybody having that thought rationally be in their head.
Yeah, and this comment, I think, summarizes it. This is almost a lose-lose for the NBA. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's a way that they come out with good public perception. It's just you'd have to blame the Clippers. But the comment says that's the thing about the Aspiration thing. Something has to happen, or the NBA will forever be suspect. If this goes away, and it's just something that nothing happens with, we're going to always look back at this and say, oh yeah, but all this stuff was out in the Clippers, still didn't get in trouble, XYZ reasons why, and blah, 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 rigged league, all this stuff. Like, it's just not going to be a good look, right? So in that event, you almost have to punish the Clippers to avoid something like that. But if they didn't do it, then they don't deserve it, right? It's just, again, we've had this very one-sided public perception because of stuff that's been coming out from the opposite end of things this entire time, including what we just saw, right? So it just makes the most sense that they did it, because that's how it's looked from the jump when you come with the receipts the way that he did from the jump. So I think that's all very unfortunate, like I've said, but they don't really have a lot of avenues outside of this. So it's going to be interesting to see the way that they try to accomplish this if they're the NBA. And yes, other teams will say, "Hey, they conned me too." That was an inbuilt defense. In hindsight, that was a built-in defense for him because of all the legal trouble with that. Yeah. Like that was easy for him to come out and say that, because if you didn't know, this is just one leg of this. There was a federal investigation into aspiration for money-related things, and that was a pretty easy way for him to just kind of try to throw it off on them. It didn't work out in his favor, but
Well, if aspiration never gets in trouble,
but we don't hear any of this.
We don't know about any of this, right?
No,
that's why all of this is coming to light. So, and that also begs the question: if you're Steve Ballmer and you have infinite money, why would you not just continue funneling money? Maybe it just got so bad once the investigation started with aspiration, because otherwise you would just keep floating aspiration for as long as you could, because as soon as they went under, then you knew you'd be in trouble here.
I remember that was one thing we talked about, where it was like, why did he stop floating them? But eventually it came out, oh, actually he did keep putting money into them. After a while, he just kind of stopped. But yeah.
Mjolnir flying from the heavens. Yes. Yeah. Look, if there's guilt established, we've talked about this. They have to, drop Mjolnir, charge it up with lightning, and drop it directly on the Clippers organization. The Clippers, Kawhi, Ballmer himself, there has to be a precedent set.
Can we get Stormbreaker too?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Just bring them both in.
Bring them both. Let's go. All right. Let's talk about this. Are the Lakers better without LeBron James? And Donnie, I think there's two very extreme, very loud groups talking about the situation. Right now, there's a loud group running around screaming to everyone that the Lakers are better without LeBron. LeBron sucks. He's awful. Get him off this team. All this kind of stuff, right? There's another group that will tell you everything is LeBron is great. He's amazing. He's the greatest player ever. All of that. I think there is a very rational, middle ground conversation to have about this. And of course, a lot of this is coming in light of the Lakers win today over the Knicks without LeBron James, that saw them look, aside from offensively in the fourth quarter, that saw them play, if not their best basketball of the season, certainly their most complete basketball game of the last few months, right? At least going all the way back to maybe the start of the year when they played Minnesota and won a couple of games there against the Wolves. This was certainly one of their most complete performances. The team was locked in. They're flying all over the place defensively. Played better, I think, at both ends of the floor for much of the game, even despite a fourth quarter that got, a little bit rocky. So that is what is sparking this conversation about, are the Lakers better without LeBron James? We've got people in our chat that are saying LeBron is a terrible fit. I've seen it. I've got people asking if LeBron can be sent home. If people asking if LeBron could simply be waived, could they let LeBron go? What's going to happen?
What's really going to happen too is he's going to come back for the next game, and if they lose, oh my God!
Oh, if they're playing the Wolves, that's a team they could lose to regardless.
Yeah, but if they lose and he comes back, oh my God!
Right. So that's where it gets very complicated. But the inverse will also be true, right? If LeBron plays and they win, there's a whole other different subset of fans that's going to be running around saying, "See, LeBron isn't the problem."
That would have been the case if the Lakers lost today, by the way.
Yes, right. Which is always weird when you've got fans rooting for a team that their favorite player's on to lose, so that it makes their guy look more indispensable. Anyway, are the Lakers better without LeBron James? I mean, right now, because there's a lot of stuff going around. So here, NBA Central just posted this. I haven't gone through game by game like this. The record with LeBron, Luka, Austin together is 11-6. The record with LeBron and Reeves, no Luka, is 3-3. The record with Luka and Reeves, no LeBron, is 9-2. And of course, Donnie, all of this is without context, though.
Where's the Luka LeBron? That one's not in there.
Whatever it is, I don't think it's very good.
No, it's probably like 500 or something. But
yeah, I mean, well, I'll tell you this. We'll get into the numbers, the on-off numbers, but as I recall, Luka and LeBron is the weakest pairing of the three,
and that makes sense,
right? So, all of this is present. This in and of itself looks damning, right? Oh my God, they're 9-2. They're winning at like an 80-something% clip with no LeBron, right? That sounds amazing. Of course, important context. Who were they playing in those? Those 11 games could all be against the tanking teams, and LeBron and Reeves together maybe played all the best teams or something like that.
Yeah.
Yet the numbers do show over the course of the season. This is garbage time included. The Lakers are minus 1.8 with LeBron on the floor versus off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They are giving up 2.6 points. They're actually better defensively.
Yeah. I was going to say it's his offense that's tanking his value this season.
Yes.
Clearly. People think it's the defense. It's not. Like the defense
is actually better with him on the floor.
Yeah, he does take possessions off, but he has been actually giving what he can on defense, I think, lately. He's been very active and all that stuff. Now I'm saying this and people are going to be mad at me for saying this, but like he's obviously going to have moments where he's not as engaged, but that's not been the problem. It's been his inability to score consistently in the half court and his inability to shoot this season.
They're giving up 2.6 points per 100 possessions less with LeBron James on the floor, which is, again, that there's been a lot of things this season that have been the inverse of what the assumption would be going into the year. And that's certainly one of them. That the Lakers defense actually been better with LeBron than without, but their offense has been worse. Some of that, of course, is also he's shooting near career low from three. Yeah. So that's a problem. We talk about him struggling to score in the half court. We go look at the combinations, though, when we dig into the lineups. By the way, LeBron is a net zero when you dig into the lineup data because cleaning the glass they remove garbage time for certain situations and others they don't and such. But is there a reasonable, here's LeBron and Austin, minus 1.3. So that's a net negative with just LeBron and Austin on the floor. LeBron by himself, I already said, is a 0. LeBron and Luka, that sounds like I'm saying something so terrible. LeBron's a 0. LeBron and Luka also minus 1.8. And then when you go, if we're just looking at
defense in that one with LeBron and Luka, those pairings are terrible on defense.
Oh, they get crushed.
Jesus.
They're getting crushed. And then you go Luka and Austin, and you're at a plus 5.6, 80th percentile defensively, 69th percentile offensively, 77th percentile overall in point differential. So they've literally been better with Luka and Austin on the floor together and not LeBron James. In fact, this is where it gets really crazy, Donnie. When I go Luka and Austin together and LeBron off, when I specify that, and I specify LeBron off, that's where it really starts to swing. Mm-hmm. Luka and Austin together, LeBron off the floor, almost plus 10, plus 9.7.
Why stop there? Add Marcus on and pull DA off. Let's keep going.
Oh, God. I haven't tried that. Do you already know the results of this?
No, I just know Marcus is a huge positive and DA has been a negative. So,
oh, holy shit!
Why stop there? Keep going.
Keep going. That's only 164 possessions. That is a tiny sample size, but plus 33.7. Good Lord!
Yeah, why stop there? One thing that's a fun takeaway is that at least in the regular season, that backcourt pairing fits perfectly fine. There's no problem. At least in the regular season, remains to be seen in the post. But
Luka and Austin?
Yeah. If you were going into the season, I guess technically that Luka's a small forward in that pairing, but I guess by size, Anyway, if you were going into the season and you were like, okay, we need to figure out what we have, I think you have definitive proof that those two fit on both sides of the court this season. Because it's not like they're getting crushed on defense or just killing on offense. Mm-hmm. They are fine. It's more about the players around them, which speaks to the root problem with LeBron this year. is that if Austin's going to be your number 2, then that means that LeBron, as your third guy, needs to be more of a utility player. He needs to be more of a 3-and-D type guy that can shoot the ball, this and that, bring more higher motor, things like that. Unfortunately, that's a tough ask for him due to his age, for one. And two, because he can give you those things, he just can't give them to you all game long. And then two, he's just not able to shoot the ball this season. So those two things aren't meshing well. And it's why LeBron plays best by himself. And so that's another little wing to this too. But that's also problematic if he can't share the floor for long stretches with the other two best players on the team. So,
yeah, because you kind of you need those guys to be talent-wise. You need LeBron, Luka, and Austin to play well together. Yeah. We've looked at this number before, but when we look at the scoring profile for LeBron, he's insane in transition. He's not so great. I mean, look at the spot up. As a spot up shooter, LeBron is in the 5th percentile.
Where's his post ups?
Post ups are right here. He's in the 81st percentile.
Okay.
Which is better than I would have thought.
Well, no, I don't really doubt his ability to post up in terms of production from there, but that's like the only thing that he's able to really do efficiently in the half court, aside from cutting, which he doesn't do very often. But this is about the play type, though, like his calls that he's getting, right? It's not about where he's, I guess, I don't know, like he's like, it's not about the efficiency from these areas, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit about the efficiency from these areas. Like that's part of it. Like he's not scoring as a spot up shooter.
Oh no, you're right. I see it.
Yeah,
it's two things at once, actually, as well.
Oh, that's his frequency. Hold up, let me get into his efficiency on spot ups. Okay, so he's a little bit better on spot ups.
There.
I was gonna say he doesn't do it very often. He's in the 30th percentile in his efficiency. Transitions in the 75th percentile.
Though. That was my question, because I was like, I know this year they're not generating good points per possession, and there it is, right?
Yeah,
like he's not impacting the game offensively in the half court this year. It just is what it is.
And meanwhile, you've got now your guy that you're building around, which is Luka. And what does he love to do? Play in the half court.
Play in the half court.
Where we sometimes even he gets into transition and he slows it down so that he can dissect a team in the half court. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of an oil and water effect there where they want to do two different things. LeBron's been, and this isn't always LeBron, but he's been at his most effective when he's been able to get out and run. And guess what? Luka is not so great at doing, getting out and running. So I think there's some challenges there, but would the Lakers literally be better if they told LeBron James, "Hey, take the rest of the season off"?
That's kind of a crazy sentiment, by the way. Like,
right,
LeBron, thank you, but just chill at home for the rest of the season. Get right.
He can go keep Chris Paul company.
Yeah, like that's kind of a crazy sentiment for LeBron.
They can get a 2-person banana boat.
So the thing is, oh my God, even if that were true, they would never do that because he's freaking LeBron James. Like there's just no way to do that.
No.
But I don't know that that's the case though. I think it's more about trying to maximize what he does do well for this team, which they've found success with. Right, his ability with the banshees, as we like to call them, that secondary group, sprinkling in Austin, like keeping the team afloat. There are games where that grouping with him out there will extend the lead or get us back in a game if we start slowly, etc. So I think they found something with that. So you just want to hammer that home, which means he needs to. This is not rocket science, but he needs to be staggered as much away from Luka as possible. I don't really. The LeBron and Austin thing, it's kind of whatever to me, just because they have a history of playing together. I know that if push came to shove, they could figure it out, right? They could work together and they could figure it out. They've been playing together for like 4 years now. I don't doubt that. And they've always been a good pairing historically. But I think with Luka, it's just tricky. And the reason why, because I think that if you were to take out one of those guys, and these guys can, and the other two guys can absorb the usage of that third player. Like, for example, today, Austin very clearly was able to scale up and absorb that usage and show it. Some of that was just, I thought Austin was being passive recently. Like he wasn't, he would have opportunities. I just didn't think he was going for it. But he was very aggressive today. He really wanted to win. And if they're able to do that, then that's fine. And then of course Luka is going to get his. Like Luka's going to put up 25 shots if needed, regardless of what the hell's going on with the other two guys. Luka's getting 25 shots regardless. And so I think that if you were to spread that usage out between them, all of a sudden it looks like it fits better too, because there's one less guy that needs the ball in his hands. And another thing that was that I thought has been impacting Austin, I think there's maybe like 5 things that impacted Austin. Like I said, him being passive, him and LeBron have kind of been tag teaming that second role as opposed to one of them being a dedicated third guy, in my opinion. I also think Marcus has been the designated shooter a lot, handling the ball a lot. Same for Kennard. I think these have impacted Austin. But another thing is, we talked about how LeBron has had that lineup. Austin hasn't had that lineup. You know, he hasn't had that chance to get away from Luka to be the sole ball handler, and that mattered in Austin's early stint. And they've prioritized LeBron with that grouping. So I think there's just a lot of things that make this a very weird situation. So to answer your question, very roundabout, I don't think that's going to happen. I think you can make an argument as to why, you know, that would be the case, but I don't agree that would be the case. I think they just need to lean into what they have so far.
You know, you're right in that Austin has not. So at the beginning of the season, Luka, whenever he gets a he can't play the full 48 minutes. If he gets a rest, those, let's say he plays 38 minutes. So the 10 minutes that he's resting when LeBron was out, those are 10 minutes that Austin Reeves is just running wild, right?
We saw it today. He went crazy in that step.
Yeah. Exactly. Now with the LeBron and the Banshees and Luka and Austin groupings, Austin doesn't get the, you know, Austin Reeves running wild situations. He doesn't get those. He doesn't get Austin by himself to go and do those things. And right now they're a plus 1.8 with Austin by himself with no LeBron, no Luka. He's better with Luka on the floor. The numbers look better with Luka on the floor, but I think that also is part of why we've seen Austin's numbers go down, is that he's not getting those opportunities right now with the way JJ is structuring things. And I don't think that's even to say JJ is structuring things incorrectly, because his job is to maximize the lineups, not necessarily a single player. And Luka and Austin as a pairing has worked, and LeBron and the Banshees has worked. And I think conceptually it makes more sense to put LeBron with the Banshee group, because what is that group really good at? Forcing turnovers. What is LeBron really good at? Getting out in transition. There's natural synergy there. Of course, they're kind of screwed if they get into the half court with that group, because LeBron's not been good in the half court, and none of those guys can really shoot when it's like LaRavia, Vando, Marcus Smart. Right? Like that's a problem if a team does score on them, if a team does prevent them from getting out and running. But there is a domino effect where if they can get a stop, they're also really good at getting out in transition with LeBron and scoring that way. So it makes sense what JJ Redick has been doing. But you still come back to, these are your 3 best players. These are 3 of your top 4 paid players, 2 of them being obviously much more.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to have all 3 of them on the floor. And maybe even a bigger problem is that LeBron and Luka and Austin haven't always worked as a trio. But when it really has not worked as a trio, is LeBron, Luka, Austin, and Rui together. And those are your top 4 paid players. And that is really does not, and even conceptually doesn't make sense, but really does not work. Whereas Luka, Austin, and Rui does work.
Yeah, absolutely. I just genuinely think if LeBron had his shot back, this isn't anywhere near as much of a problem. Yes. Because I think he's also very clearly sacrificed. Whether Luka Stans thinks so or not, I think he's very clearly sacrificed. He's at nearly a career low usage. You know, he is not as featured. He's very willing to stand in the corner to watch Luka take shots all game, which that's to the betterment of the team, not knocking Luka. I'm just saying that LeBron has been able to do that. But the problem is that if that's all you're going to ask for him, you don't need him on a $52 million salary.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, right? That's just, and there was no way this season to have that play out any differently, but for like next season or anything like that, there's just no way he's getting a max anywhere. If this is who he is, 1, but 2, certainly not with the Lakers. They just can't do it, right? And so I think that there's a very real world where they come back next season and he's on the team and they're better than they are now just because they have better fitting players, right? Because I think a lot of it is with this trio, like if you go back to the lineup stuff, if it's, and by the way, an interesting tidbit on LeBron this season, is that most of, if not all of, his best lineups include Marcus Smart. That's been another two-man pairing, by the way. It's not just Luka Austin, it's LeBron Marcus, but that's also because Marcus just fits with anybody on this team, so he just works regardless.
What is Marcus by himself? I'm going to run that right now because I'm curious.
I'm sure Marcus is a nice positive because he's like one of the top plus-minus guys on this team. So,
yeah, he's a +5.
Yeah, he just fits regardless on either side of the ball. But yeah, he's typically paired with LeBron. But I think that, you could have better fitting lineup group next season and it works out for the better, right? But unless you just are of the mind that they just absolutely have to get him out of there for reasons maybe even not even related to him playing basketball, but
I don't think so. They're Luka, LeBron, Austin together are +0.6, 661 possessions.
Another thing. Oh, that was my point. Sorry, really quick. Is you have to have the right pieces around them, and I don't think Ayton is that, for the record. Like, if they had a rim protecting center, I think all of a sudden this looks a lot better.
So LeBron, Luka, and Austin were a +1.3 last year together, and that's in 870 possessions. This year's 600 plus possessions. So we've got a 1,400-ish possession sample size. And you're right. A rim running center with the three of them probably changes things. I don't know if there's a big enough sample for Jackson Hayes to.
No, I said rim protecting.
Oh, you said rim protect. Oh, actually, that is really damn good.
Yeah.
112 possessions. There are +23.
Well, that's another thing this was my point, is that Ayton, again, I don't mean to bag on Ayton, but he kind of tanks a lot of the LeBron lineups.
He does.
If Ayton and LeBron are out there, they just don't mesh either. And that's where LeBron's kind of weird, because when you look at his tree, it's like, do you fit with Luka? Not really. Do you fit with Ayton? Sometimes, but probably not, right? Like, you need certain pieces around LeBron. And there is a thing where those are the same guys you need around Luka, but since they don't do those things for each other, it's hard to play them together. And I think that's the realization we've come to. So where this ultimately leaves us, because it's easy just to say LeBron is all that ails the Lakers, remove him from the team and everything will be solved. I'm seeing a lot of that take, and I think it is missing a lot of nuance and a lot of context. Ultimately, you can't send $53 million home to sit on the couch. You can't have $53 million sitting on your couch. You especially can't have that when that guy also puts a lot of butts in seats. It means a lot to your revenue. For the remainder of the season, I think they do, because LeBron is still, none of this is saying LeBron's not a talented player. This is more about the fit with Luka and Austin. And is it a little bit awkward? JJ Redick's job is to maximize the fit of the three of them together, because no matter what you do, number one, I've had a lot of people say it, you're not bringing Luka, LeBron, or Austin off the bench. It ain't happening. Yeah.
It ain't happening. Okay. Number two, you're not leaving any one of those three on the bench when you're closing games. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a number of minutes, regardless of how you think it fits, with the three of them together on the floor. So JJ Redick has to maximize those. Yes, you can stagger LeBron and Luka, and I think that does need to be something of a priority, because even if, as we talked about, with the offensive skills that LeBron is bringing and the offensive skills that Luka is bringing, they aren't really meshing together right now. And JJ needs to do what he can to massage that and get it to mesh together as best as possible. Meanwhile, you also have to capitalize on the minutes when they're not sharing the floor. Now, going beyond this season, though, where does that leave? Does that leave the Lakers in a spot where, hey, we know right now they can't tell $52 million to go sit at home? You can't do that. Are they better off saying, LeBron, we had a great run, we're with Luka now, and it is what it is? Or should they be bringing back LeBron?
I think it is what it is. Is probably those two are the same thing to me. They can be the same thing. Like, it is what it is. We're going to expect you to accept a smaller role or whatever it is, smaller paycheck, whatever. The reason I said, unless you're of the mind that you want him gone for things that don't exactly have to do with his skill set as a basketball player, is because you just hit the nail on the head. Say you get some better fitting guys next season with that money, and you say, LeBron, this is what we have left, 10 million, 15, whatever it is, right? Do you want this? Okay, say he takes it. Okay, now what? If those same guys that are betting fitting guys are on your team, on your roster, you'd want to start them.
Yeah.
But you can't, because you're not going to pull LeBron off the bench. He's fucking LeBron James. You're not going to ask him to come off the bench. It's just not going to happen.
So then what does that? Yeah, that's a great point. If you sign regardless of whether you sign LeBron for $5 million or $50 million next, by God, don't make it $50 million. But regardless of what you do,
yeah,
you're probably not bringing LeBron James off the bench.
No, he'll never accept that, and you wouldn't ask that of him just because of the cachet, right? I
So-
know fans want to see that, and it may or may not be the fix. It's just be realistic. Guys of that caliber, arguable top 5 greatest players ever, whatever it is, wherever you have them, I don't care. Those guys don't come off the bench, man. It's not going to happen. So maybe you're just better off avoiding that entirely.
Now, as Keon notes, it's not that we don't need Braun, but Braun ain't worth $50 million anymore. If he's willing to take like 20, then yes, come back, but no, rest well, Braun. Better to spend the cash on young athletic pieces that fit with Luka. I think he's got a really fine point here. Let's say the Lakers go get, I don't know, let me just throw a couple names out there. Let's say the Lakers have $50-ish million to play with before they even have to worry about bringing back Austin Reeves. That's with the $20 million of Austin Reeves cap hold sitting on the books. Let's say this summer, let's say ideal world, Marcus Smart picks up his player option. So you got him next year at $5.3 million. Wonderful. That'd be fantastic. You've got Austin. You're going to sign him to whatever contract you're going to sign him to. But at the bottom line is you only have to worry about the $20 million of his cap hold while you're signing players. Let's say that you're able to go land, I don't know. Let's say it's what's reasonable. Let's say you go get, let's say you can't steal Peyton Watson or Tari Eason, either one, whatever name you want to put in there. And you can do that, and you can go add a rim protector center. Let's say you can entice the Jazz. Walker Kessler goes to the Jazz and says, "Yo, I want to go to LA. You guys got Jaren Jackson. I don't want to be part of this anymore. I want to go to the Lakers." And they do a sign and trade. So let's say you add Tari Eason, Walker Kessler to your team, and then you add a bench defensive player. I don't know. Let's say it's our old friend Jordan Goodwin. How much better if those are the 3 additions to the Lakers this summer?
Keep Marcus?
Yeah, and you keep Marcus, and you've got Luka, and you got Austin. How much better does everything click together at that point?
Much better. It's
right?
Significantly better.
Right? So
it's not. Is that so? In that theory, it's minus LeBron, right?
Well, no. But then you go to
Yeah.
LeBron and you say, "Hey, LeBron, yeah, man, we got Walker Kessler. Rob could be on the phone with LeBron and say, "Hey, look, we just got Walker Kessler. Hang on, I got to talk real quick because my lightning lane is about due here. But we got Walker Kessler. We got Tari Eason. I got $20 million left over. Do you want it?" Then doesn't that change things a lot?
Yeah, but if you're LeBron, you ask for assurances on role, right?
Sure.
That's the first thing out of your mouth. Is
Right.
Okay, well, what would my role be? You want Austin to be number 2, that's fine, but what will my role be? How many minutes am I expecting? Like, because the Lakers have wanted him to play like 30 minutes a night, and that's just also ain't gonna happen. He ain't playing 30 minutes. I mean, he's at like 32 or something this year, which is like a low for him, but he ain't playing 30 minutes, 28 minutes. That's not happening either. So what's the role looking like? I think that matters too. And it's not rocket science that, like, if you upgrade the roster, obviously he would fit better on it. Like, that's better players on the team. Obviously they'd fit better, right?
Sure.
But you're right. If you're able to do that, I think that'd be pretty enticing for him. But that's all through the lens of wanting to keep him. And maybe they don't. I got to just add this really quick. Six Dig says if he came off the bench, he'd get to shoot all the shots he want, and with defenders run him and Kennard. That's not really how that works, because there's still going to be a lot of minutes, even if he comes off the bench with Luka being the primary, with Austin being out there too. Like, it's not really how that works.
We seem to, as a basketball public, we seem to get caught up in this notion that it's like 2 separate teams. That there's a starting unit and there's a bench unit, and never do their paths cross. And that is the exact opposite of how it actually is. The full bench unit is never on the floor. It's the bench plus LeBron, usually 2 of LeBron, Austin, Luka, sometimes 1, right? It's never the full bench unit out there. And yet we treat it as though they are two separate, completely independent things that are never deployed at the same time. So by adding LeBron to the bench unit, you are then removing him from the starting unit, and you'll have these two separate entities, and that's not how that works.
Yeah, I think the most successful version probably. I love LeBron going out there and doing everything he's capable of doing, but I wonder if just with this roster, the best version of him would probably be something like we talked about earlier, Draymond plus, but in like a Tim Duncan size role where it's like 26, 27 minutes a night. You know, because sometimes I feel like LeBron has like 5 or 6 minutes where he's just eating innings. He's just kind of out there. And they're low energy moments, things like that. That's when those typically creep in because he'll start the game engaged. I think he'll get engaged throughout different pockets of the game, but there's probably like 5 or 6 minutes where he's just out there in the corner, not really doing anything, just eating innings. So
I'm glad you brought that up. Well, here, let me go into a couple of these super chats. M. Jared said, Bron, please leave this fake fan base, fake loyal. See, I'm not saying get rid of LeBron. There are some people saying that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also fair to question, what does this look like moving forward, whether it's with LeBron or not? Let's see y'all say we don't need Bron come playoff time. But that's the other thing, too. There's a difference between playoff basketball and regular season basketball. And I think especially when we talk athletically, LeBron athletically has the ability to get off shots that, I don't know about Luka is very good at getting off tough shots, but you know, against a high pressure defense that your offense has broken down and you need somebody to get a shot off, LeBron is, of the three, at the very least the second most capable, if not the most capable, of getting off a tough shot. Of when the athleticism, the physicality ramps up, he is the most capable of ramping up and matching that. Playoff LeBron may be a very different version and a different necessity level than regular season LeBron.
Yeah, I think that matters a lot. We'll see also how impacted Austin is this year in a contract year also. You know, how will he perform in the playoffs? He's had a couple down seasons, but we've seen him be successful. Really quick before you get to that one, I want to ask you, you know, there's also like, obviously there's LeBron stands, there's Luka stands, there's any, I'll never forget. I was surprised to hear there were D'Lo stands. So you could find stands for anybody. But did you know that there's also Kobe stands? And I think that they think that they are also just purely Laker fans because Kobe spent his career entirely in LA. And so those two coincide. But there's also, I think, a large pocket of people, they'll say things like, oh, real Laker fans, I just saw it fly by, never wanted him here. But I just think most of the time those people are just stands of Kobe. I don't know that that's also true either. That real fan. What is a real fan, by the way? I don't understand that either. What is a quote unquote real fan? I mean, the funny thing with that to me is that we had Kobe endorse him. We had Kobe say he's welcome, he's part of the family. What more do you want? Like, what more do you want? Like, I don't get it. I don't get the, like, some people will just never like him, and that's fine. He is the most polarizing athlete of all time, I think.
Right.
And that's fair. But I just always thought it's always weird that when a guy is wearing our uniform, we can't appreciate a guy. We're just biding our time. Every time something happens, we're ready to pounce on him. And I don't want to see that for any other player on this team either. It's just obviously he is who he is. And so he's oftentimes the target of that. And I always thought that was weird to me. Like I appreciate everything that he's done and been a part of. We haven't had the success we wanted. That's fine. But he's been here. He's been loyal to the franchise for 8 years. Like I can't badmouth the man. Like I don't think that's fair.
I think in general, if that it becomes disingenuous if you're someone who, and it's okay if you want to be a fan this way, but to say other people are not real fans, if you are prioritizing the either success or failure of an individual player over the success or failure of the team, that to me, in a way, is going to not invalidate your opinions, but it's an important bias to understand. For example, if you're a person who wants the Lakers to lose when LeBron is not playing, otherwise there's evidence that the team can be okay without him, That's not, again, prioritizing the team, or vice versa. If you're someone who only wants the Lakers to win games if LeBron is playing, that's also not necessarily really being a true Lakers fan. That should be number one. You can be a Kobe fan, you can be a LeBron fan, you can be whatever, but the most important thing should be the success of the team if you want to call yourself a pure like Lakers fan, right?
Otherwise, real Laker fan. Otherwise,
you are a LeBron fan who also roots for the Lakers, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. I'm just saying, if you want to say, hey, I am a Lakers fan, number one, right? The team's success has to be the most important thing, regardless of which player it is that's helping drive that success.
Yeah, I just think that's so weird, personally, to me. It's not to say that everybody has to like everybody on the team, but I think it's fair to root for our guys. Like, we shouldn't be like rooting against our guys actively. I just think that's weird.
I have fake driven Dalton Connect to so many different airports at this point. If Dalton Connect steps on the floor, I want the dude to drop 40. Yeah. I want him to go off and be awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to be great. And if there's a trade possibility that came up, I'll drive him to the airport. I'll let him pick the music. I'll drive him across the country if I have to. Mm-hmm. Right. But when he's on the floor, I want him to be fantastic. Yeah. That's the way that I think
just so much. It's because agendas now, like we mentioned earlier, had the Lakers lost this game, it's see. But since they didn't, it's the complete opposite. It's absolutely. See, LeBron's the problem. XYZ. And then you're in this weird spot, I think, as a player fan, where you have to literally hate watch your own team, which is crazy. Crazy, because it's like you want your team to win, but it's like, if they win today, all of a sudden now online is going to be held because everyone is going to run with that agenda. Or conversely, in those games where it's like Austin and Luka, Luka fans are like, they lost today. I wonder who the real MVP is, right? Like, dude, it's brutal, man. It's brutal.
Agnes said, you guys say it's all about the results, but when people make arguments that LeBron should come off the bench for basketball reasons, you say he's bigger than that.
I mean, simply put, he is.
But it's not just that. It's because I think you can get the same results without going down the thorny path of LeBron coming off the bench and all the firestorm that would be created by that. Because I think you can do the exact same thing just by structuring your rotation in ways that JJ Redick is already doing.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, I would love the results, but I've also resigned myself to the fact that he is bigger than basketball.
Yeah,
it is what he's just not gonna come off the bench. I've already it's just not gonna happen.
Podcast sponsored by Clutch Sports. Can we be? Hashtag not a sponsor, but dude. Rich, come on, we'll save a seat for you.
Rich, there's no need to send black SUVs to my house. I will take the check. I'll say whatever. I'm telling the people right now. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be a sellout. I'll say whatever I need to say. Shit, Rich, if you're watching, the bulletin is open, and I'm pretty sure I can get Trevor on LN to do it too. So I can be bought. I can be bought. I'm not above it. I'm not at that level yet. I'm not above it.
I've seen the seats that guy gets to sit in. Come on. If LeBron is going to be in the starting five, he's got to focus on defense and facilitating. He's the strongest of the three, but to maximize Luka and Austin, you need defense. Yeah, agreed. And can you tweak things as well in terms of LeBron's role in order to maximize everything? And I think we've talked about this before. I don't think he gets enough credit for tweaking his role the way he did when Luka arrived last year, where he basically took on the AD role defensively and did a really nice job with that. So here, let's go here. Were you saying that during Kobe's last years? So sad. I think the context is told. At Kobe's last years, they had a tanking team. They're hoping for the best draft pick they could possibly get. Look at the teammates Kobe had. Kobe didn't have it's not like it was Kobe and then there was I don't know what would be. I mean, I guess Kobe and then LeBron had already joined the Lakers, and it's not like that was the situation, right? Of Kobe's still there and he's in his final years, but LeBron's on the team too. So now it's becoming LeBron's team. What do you do? Totally different situation, context wise. And by the way, I don't think we're being disrespectful to LeBron at all here either in this conversation.
Yeah, if any LeBron fan is taken away from this that we're being disrespectful, I don't know what to say, because I thought I gave him a pretty good defense throughout this video. I thought I tried pretty hard. I think the ultimate reality is he doesn't fit alongside Luka, and that causes problems. And it's just probably better to separate them. That's just probably the ultimate reality.
Keep the faith in ball hog crying Luka. What? We're talking about LeBron, right? And yeah. Austin Reeves ain't worth 50 million with 25 million in his pockets.
Who? What?
50 million with 25 million in his pocket. So he's getting a $25 million contract. Is the 50 million for planting trees?
I don't get this. Is he getting 25 or is he getting 70?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this. He can't get 50. No. He cannot, by league rules, he can't get 50. The most his contract can start at is $41.5 million. That's the most.
Yeah.
That's the limit.
M-Dread, I'll be watching the chat if you want to clarify. But really quick, I wanted to say, the Lakers are bigger than LeBron. Simply, yeah, you're right. Agnes, you're absolutely right. But that doesn't change anything that we've said throughout the video. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's just not. So I don't know what the point of continuing to talk about it is. The Lakers are, for sure. I don't doubt that. I don't debate that. That's true. I do think, funny enough, there are some franchises LeBron is bigger than, but it's not the Lakers at all. Justin, the bulletin aspires to be in business.
I like that it's not conspires, it's aspires.
No.
I will plant a tree or two if need be. I will actually do it.
Dude, I'll go out. I'll plant 50 of them today if they want me
to. Let's go. Just call him Donnie Appleseed. We'll go plant a bunch of trees.
Oh my God.
Keon Park said, I agree with what D Free said. Not just less cash, also less minutes, and probably 6-man would LeBron swallow all that and still want to come back? I don't see it. Yeah, at that point, if Cleveland is telling LeBron, or New York, or whoever is telling LeBron, hey, we'll start you.
You'll play 30 minutes a night. You'll be You'll get 20 shots a night, and probably not 20, but you'll get 15 shots a night. You'll get to maybe lead a lineup. Like, that's just more enticing, I think. If he wants to continue to produce at a high level, which he said himself that matters to him. He said that in so many words that matters to him a lot. So I can't see him taking too big of a step back off of what he is this year. Frankly, I'm surprised he's averaging like 21 points a game. Frankly, I wouldn't have penciled. Yeah, I wouldn't have penciled him in to average anything less than like 24, probably. And if his three was working, he probably is closer to 23, 24. But
So LeBron James on the season is indeed, he's averaging, what is it exactly? 20.9.
Yeah, points. He dipped below 21. Okay.
So 20.9 points per game. Meanwhile, Austin Reeves is averaging now, it was like 28 at one point this season. He's averaging 23.5 points per game.
They've all taken a dip recently. Even Luka took a slight dip because he was over 33 for a bit. And that's just natural as you go on in the season. But I think some of that's just they're spreading those shots between those other two so much. So
who finishes the season averaging more points?
AR.
He's got the lead right now.
There's not enough time for LeBron to make. LeBron would have to go on a hell of a tear. I think he'd have to go on a hell of a tear to end the season. I'm talking like a streak of like 30-point game, like a Luka streak, basically. I just don't see it happening.
All right, let's go. And I don't disagree. I gave the bold prediction that LeBron would be the third highest scorer on the team by the end of the season.
Sounded blasphemous, by the way.
It sounded, people were mad. People were not happy with me. But I could see a path for it happening, and it looks like that's the way it's going to go. Part of it has been, though, because LeBron, if I do wonder what it would end up at if LeBron hadn't missed games at the beginning of the season, because that's a lot of what's propping up Austin's scoring, was when he was going nuclear in October and November when LeBron was out. Pablo said, Lakers need to take a page from the Clippers book and give $15 million to Austin, the rest under the table, and bring more talent in. So could you imagine? But Austin turned down $20 million a year this last summer, an average annual value of $20 million a year this last summer. So obviously it would have to be more than that. Otherwise that would raise eyebrows, but
25.
okay, could you do 25?
There are people that think he's worth 25.
Other people that say, but I mean, 25, then you give him an extra whatever.
Yeah.
True.
You do it?
Austin, we're definitely gonna have you go plant some trees.
Hey,
And,
Austin, trust me, we're gonna really get you a lot more Lemon Daddy sponsorships.
There it is. There it is.
We'll make it happen, man. We'll get it going.
I'm basically saying he's not worth 40 or 50 million. Yeah, and then in the context of the Lakers building out their roster, certainly could be a thing. We'll see. Well, ultimately, again, we've done this thing all year, and we're mostly talking about LeBron here, but we've done this thing all year with Austin. Where, yeah,
Oh, okay.
we've done this thing with Austin where every game it's see he's worth this much. No, see he's worth that much, right? He has a great game. Give him a max. He has a rough game. This dude's not even worth 15 million. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but let's get to the end of the season. Let the dust settle. I think a lot of it's going to be determined by how he plays in the playoffs, and then go from there and figure it out from that point.
Yeah, he's not getting paid on anything in the regular season. He's already proven what he can do in the regular season. It's purely about the payoffs, in my opinion, the playoffs. If he goes out there, because, like, for example, there's a baseline that he's established because of the regular season. Say it's 25. If he goes out and has a great playoffs and looks like him and Luka can really get this thing done, they may say, here's 40. If he doesn't look good, maybe they say, here's 27 or 30, you know?
Sure. And I don't see it going lower than that.
No, I don't think it's going.
You know what I mean? Like, there's people who say, "Oh, he's not even worth 20."
No, 25, I think, is the baseline. Like I said, he's not getting paid off the regular season. That's simply because he's already established that number, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Like he's there's not a lot of guys that can go out there and scale up the way he does and just say, here's 40 tonight. Here's 50 tonight. Here's, a 37 and 10 assists tonight because you're missing another player. Like, there's not a lot of guys that can do that. And they're not on $13 million deals like Austin is right now. That's just not reasonable. And I don't see a reason why $10 or $11 million is an overpay for a guy that can do that, because he's already vastly outperforming this contract and has been for years. So
that's the other thing is I wonder, like, when it comes time to have that conversation with Austin, like, I would love it if the Lakers could get him for cheap, right? Like, love it if he continues to be on a team-friendly deal, because that only helps build out the roster, right? So that's the most important thing. Yeah, if they can get Austin for 20 million, fantastic. Let's go, right? That would be amazing. But if I'm Austin, I'm going into those conversations and I'm like, I've literally played on a below market contract for my entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what the future holds. So if I've got a chance to get market value or better right now, I'd better get it, So I don't know what those conversations are going to look like. At the same time, if you're the Lakers and under today's NBA, can you responsibly give 41.5? They do like the 25% max.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, that's, again, I think that's going to be determined by what happens here in the playoffs and for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, for sure. This is also a little bit of a misunderstanding, Six Dig. Teams not handing out big contracts like that because of CBA. There's no problem with giving two players big deals and building out a roster. You start to get into the point where you got like multiple guys beyond that are like 20 million plus, is where it starts getting pretty difficult. And then you also have to decide, are you going to be willing to be a apron team, second apron team? Like, where is your line at, right? But I think the Lakers would be just fine paying Austin, somewhere in that range, 30 million or something, and then Luka with his money too. That's not a problem. But you have to look at it too. You're not going to have Rui back on 18. There's zero chance Rui's making $18 million next year. Mm-hmm. LeBron's probably not coming back at all. Certainly zero chance he's back on anything above 30 million, I think. Like, there's just other pieces you move around to get that done. But I will say, this is where the Lakers are failing with this new CBA, or newer CBA, I guess, is that you need to have cheap contracts that are producing for you. The Lakers don't really have that.
No.
That's like, they've got Marcus, but Marcus is also not cheap. He's making like 15 million somewhere else. So what happens with him? I don't know. He may opt out of that. He should opt out of that and get a pay raise for the rest.
The Blazers are paying DeAndre Ayton $25 million to not play basketball for them.
Yeah, exactly. So like, they've got some, but they don't have those rookie scale.
I mean, the
Well,
The best bang for their buck is probably Jackson Hayes.
and he's also not taking a minimum next year, for the record. Like,
Right.
that's where, like, there's zero chance Jackson's on a minimum next year. There's zero chance I think Marcus is on a $5 million next year. So, like, that's where this is all pretty interesting. But I think overall, there's no problem with your top two guys making money.
Yeah. Yep. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. Age-wise, Austin going into his 30s on a $30 million deal is a horrible deal.
He's
Talking
27.
about, yeah, you're talking about going into his 30s. So you're talking about the very end of the deal. If he was making 30 million at the end of the deal, what would that even be? Because this calculates the percentages. Who's somebody that's under contract that long? Emmanuel Quickly. Let's see what that is. And by the way, I think Austin is better than IQ. You're talking about, what would that be?
28, 29. He should be.
You're talking about like 15% of the cap if Austin's on a $30 million deal 4 years from now. Somewhere down there. Like that. I think sometimes we need to reframe the numbers to percentage of the cap. And so understand, like, what is, you can say, well, that's a lot for right now. If that was that deal 4 years from now, that looks very different in terms of how much cap space that's actually taking up.
Yeah, and that also goes hand in hand with my earlier comment on the CBA. If he's only making 15, 16% of your overall, then if you can't build a team around that with one other max player, we've got a problem. It's not like he's making 30% of your money.
Right. That's the equivalent of 30 million 4 years from now is the equivalent of him getting whatever it'll be, 24 million right now.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that most, I don't know, Austin would do this, but I would think most fans, if you said, hey, you can get Austin at 24 million a year, would do that in a heartbeat.
Shit, I'd do it in it. Man, can we get you to sign right now? Like, can we just do this now? 24 million? Because that 24 in like 2 years is going to be insane. He's going to be like at 10% of the cap, less than that probably.
Donnie, I know we got to run in a minute here, but we didn't talk about this yet. Adu Thero went nuts for the South Bay Lakers today.
Did he?
I was saying
all I saw was a Bronny dunk.
I was saying he needed to play yesterday against the Pacers.
Yeah.
When it got into garbage time, and he was the only young guy that didn't play.
Yeah.
The only young guy that didn't play. And Adu was 5 for 5 from 3. Now I think he was like 2 for 7 from 3 in South Bay. Like, it's not like we can just, say, oh, clearly he's just awesome. But he had 25 and 6 boards, 5 of 5 from 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was Adu Thero. I think it's important to remember the G League is also very different. Like, guys will light it up in the G League and then not quite be. Kobe Buffkin has gone berserk whenever he's played in the G League this year, putting up 40 plus points. And he doesn't really look like an NBA player when he's on the floor in the NBA right now. So sometimes those can be misleading. It's a good sign. It's not a bad thing that he did this. It's a good thing that he did this, of course. But it does make me a little bit more frustrated that he didn't get run in yesterday's blowout win, or the last blowout win, I mean.
Yeah, I wish they would find a way to play him more. Just a missed opportunity, in my opinion, for him to get opportunities to grow, and play, even if it's 5-7 minutes a night, alongside main rotation guys, and just learn the game better. Because you're not gonna like, the G League is cool, but you're not gonna learn the NBA game without getting NBA reps.
Yep.
It just is what it is. So, like, I think he needs that, and it's a missed opportunity. But I think that's very true for all of our younger guys. They don't really get the opportunity to get burned out there, So, but I think is the one that people are most enamored by because of the frame and the utility that he could have for this roster if he hits. And so he absolutely should be getting minutes and opportunity. But JJ struggles to even find minutes and opportunity for guys like Vando, where everybody's healthy. So
I got asked that yesterday when I did the Knicks film school preview for Lakers Knicks. What's your biggest complaint about JJ Redick? And I'm like, there's some things that we could complain about for JJ in terms of the things that they run, the lineups and leans in sometimes too much to the offensive players, Vando kind of being in the doghouse here and there, right? Stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing is, like, going all the way back to the Dan Hurley thing. the big buzzword was program. We want to have a program. We want to have a program where we're developing young talent, right? And I can't say that young talent is really, and that same conversation was when JJ was hired. We're going to have a program. And I can't really say that's happened. Now, we're still early in the go. We're a year and a half in, but young talent hasn't really been developed. In fact, Dalton Connect took huge steps back. Now, a lot of that responsibility falls on Dalton Connect, of course, but the young talent that's been on the roster either hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities to get on the floor, or if they have, they haven't really been utilized much.
The only player I see legitimate improvement with, because there's only a few guys anyway, like a dude doesn't really count because we didn't really I need to see year over year improvement with him.
Yeah,
is Bronny. He's the only one because Dalton regressed.
But he's also not. But Bronny even now is not at the level where you're saying, "Hey, every night you're a guy for us." But you're right. He has indeed gotten much better.
I think he's
much better.
He's gotten much better as a shooter, actually. I think that's where his biggest improvements come from. We were saying if he could be like a 3-and-D type guy, he's lighting it up shooting in the G League. He's also averaging like 40% on the season. I think that he's really developed. And the shots he gets off screen, dribble pull-ups, like these types of things, he's worked on a lot. He's still a bit away, but he's the only guy that I can say on this team that they've actually tried to develop so far. Because I think Kobe's also not been able to show what he can do yet, probably because role.
He's not looked very good when he's been out there either.
I mean, he's shooting like 16% from 3 on the season. He's shooting like 44 in the G League. So I don't think we have that right now. And I think Bronny's still like 2 years away. I don't know.
I was going to say, is there a world where LeBron leaves the Lakers, whether that be he retires or goes to another team, and the Lakers just say, Bronny, we're going to pick up the $2.3 million for next week, nothing. We're going to keep you around.
I think they're kind of mulling that over, because if you notice, whenever it gets towards the end of the game, they don't throw like Kobe in first. They throw Bronny in first. I think they're trying to get Bronny and then they'll leave Bronny in with some of the main guys for even a couple of minutes. I think they're trying to get him a couple more opportunities to really make that decision.
That's interesting. You're right. When Austin Reeves got in foul trouble against the Pacers or fouled out, it was Bronny who came in.
Yeah, they have been trying to throw him in a couple minutes early, I think. And even the other night where Bronny, it was like 3 or 4 games ago where Bronny got in, and then a couple of minutes later a dude got in, they do that. So I think they're trying to figure that out, because I do think that regardless of how people feel about him because of the name, I do think he's developed nicely, and he's a prospect that if he pans out in a couple of years, the Lakers will be a big reason as to why, and you'd want to keep that, right? So I think they have a decision to make there. I mean, they have one regardless because the contract situation, but
sure.
And I do wonder if LeBron, for example, leaves and goes to Cleveland, and if he doesn't say, "Hey, you want to come play with me?" And then at that point, I wonder what Bronny says, yes or no.
And does he ask, the Lakers just to waive him or what?
Yeah. I think there's a few things that need done, because if I'm Bronny,
he's under contract next year.
Yeah, exactly. But also, if I'm Bronny, it may be more beneficial, instead of just riding my dad's coattails for another year, and maybe beneficial to try to go somewhere I can get real burn, like a tanking team, or be one of those guys that gets try out elsewhere. Because the Lakers, that's also not going to happen. Not next year.
Bronny in Brooklyn or something, or
they
have a ton of guards already, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say Washington, but they're not going to be bad next year. But just a team like that, it may be more beneficial to try to see if you can really make it.
Hey, AD could play with LeBron James again.
The Lakers will still have a LeBron James if he stays on the roster.
That's right.
But I think most people have resigned themselves to he's gone. They should get rid of him. Blah 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 blah. Because I think he's also similarly always had unjust hate, I think.
So let's finish with this. I want to take a peek at some of the games around the league tonight. At least the playoff relevant ones. The Blazers beat the Pacers. The Blazers just hanging in there in the Western Conference. It is what it is in terms of who's out of the play-in right now. Those teams are not going to get in my opinion. The teams that are in are going to stay in. Their order may change. The Spurs handled the Rockets without too much trouble. So San Antonio is pretty clear. I think San Antonio is closer to OKC than to Houston, LA, Minnesota, the teams in that mix. Phoenix, I think the Spurs are doing pretty good things. They're looking really good. The Magic have been playing better basketball lately. They blew out the Bucks. They also got a nice win last night, I believe it was, against the Wolves. So keep an eye on the Magic. The Magic and the Heat right now are both making headway in the East. And by the way, the Lakers play both of them coming up in about a week. Wizards and Pels is the one team that has no incentive to tank beat the team that has lots of incentive to tank. Not a surprise there. The Pistons have lost 4 in a row. And this is with the Celtics surging. They lost to the Nets, the Spurs and Cavs, okay, but they got blown out in both those games. And then they lost by 11 to Miami. Is there reason to worry about are the Pistons this year's Cavs where they peaked too early?
No, I think they're fine.
You think they're gonna be fine?
Yeah, I think they're fine.
They're anxious to get to the playoffs. The Celtics beat the Cavs. Holy shit, man! Go away, Boston. I'm starting to worry.
Funny,
I'm starting to worry. The Celtics are going to fall backwards into a finals run when they were supposed to be a gap year.
Yeah, that was funny. Tatum had 2 consecutive games of shooting 6 for 16. I was like, you can't script that any better, man.
Right.
No, but he just hit his threes. I think it was 2 for 9 the first game and 3 for 8 in this game. I'm like, man, that one make does a lot of lifting for a percentage when you have that many attempts. We had actually a super chat that was detached from the comment I wanted to show.
Oh yeah.
So Mr. Bentley with $2 super chat said JJ should just use him in short bursts, running the offense more like the Olympics. Let Luka move off the ball and come off screens while LeBron attacks and creates. Then when LeBron sits, let Luka run it. They kind of try to do that stuff a little bit where Luka will come off a screen or something. But the problem is that Luka doesn't offer any off-ball value aside from being a catch and shoot guy, which is great. Don't get me wrong, that's great. But typically his guy is just staying to him. So there's value, I guess, with that and being having gravity as a catch and shoot guy. But I think for LeBron, he probably needs more opportunity, with somebody that's going to be more cutty, things like that. One thing I think that's kind of funny with the way they play is I've seen in both of the last games, Jake has had that baseline cut and Luka will just not pass it. But if that's LeBron, he throws that baseline cut easily.
Mm-hmm.
Luka kind of ignores that and things like that. So I think that's it's not about one being a better playmaker than the other. I think they just look for different things and they go about it differently. So, but I do think that these are the best 2 passers on the team, whether you think Austin's a better player overall right now or not. But I think you need to run a lot of your stuff with them both initiating if possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
But I had to point out the cut thing because it annoys the hell out of me because Jake will be right under the basket.
I do think I do think they are running more off-ball stuff lately for Luke. They're getting more opportunities where you're able to get an advantage on your defender with off of the pass rather than having to run the high pick and roll and get contact with the screen in order to get an advantage.
Yeah,
I like that's a good thing.
For sure. I just, what I wish they would do more? I wish they would do more 2-man game. They don't really do 2-man game. Every so often, LeBron will get a screen, come up, set a screen for Luka, and then that's kind of just the conclusion of that. I just would like to see them more in space 2-man game. I'd also like to see more inverted screens. That's something that's just gone this year from LeBron's game. That's always been big for him, with Kyrie, with D Wade, with AR in the past. The inverted screens have always been good, but those are just gone. Maybe because Luka and LeBron are so similarly sized.
Yeah, you wind up getting if depending on who's defending them. Now, if you could get, LeBron goes and screens away, gets the big on him, drags the big up, and then screens for Luka, that's a different story. But otherwise, you're switching like for like. You're getting 2 similar defenders on him. So that's where
that whole piece of the game is gone for him. I think
if it's Mikal Bridges is on Luka and OG Anunoby's on LeBron,
hey, what we're doing lesser of 2 evils.
I mean, I guess I'm just saying, either one of those guys is a good defensive player. JJ's seat should be warm. Why don't you go there? I don't know that it should be warm. And are there things you can be critical of JJ of? Yes, and I think ultimately when you look at that team over the course of the year, I don't think they've been made to be better than the sum of their parts. That's my biggest criticism of JJ Redick, but I don't think that's enough to warm his seat, especially when he just got a new deal. I don't think it's realistic for JJ to like be on the way out this summer or anything like that. You never say never in the NBA, but it doesn't seem like that's the way this is going.
Do you subscribe to this at all? JJ's an okay coach without the LeBron goggles on. Do you think he'll be better when he doesn't play LeBron 30 minutes a night, for example?
Is JJ a better coach without LeBron? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion on that either way. I don't think JJ defers too much to LeBron.
Because there's also a pocket that think that he does too, that they think he's still just basically working for LeBron, you know. He's his guy.
I mean, he was specifically brought in though to be the guy after LeBron. Like it's different. Like Byron Scott was brought in to be the guy during the waning years of Kobe's career. And it was well known, like, hey, once Kobe's gone, B. Scott is gone too, right? Mm-hmm. That's not the case. Like JJ was specifically brought in to be the guy post LeBron. So we'll see. Maybe LeBron, whatever, retires, leaves, and JJ somehow, suddenly he spreads his wings as a coach.
I think that happens anyway because he just will have more experience and be a better coach. So that's where we kind of could get into. Like in like 2 years, we could look back and say, man, this team's had like 260 win seasons. We're gonna have a hell of a lot of confirmation bias.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my same point with like them changing if they make drastic changes to combat tanking this year.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen next year. Tanking's not gonna be as big of a deal next year anyway because the draft sucks.
Yeah.
So they're going to be like, oh, look, nobody's tanking anymore. Woohoo, it worked. Well, no matter what, you could do nothing, and it would still going to be less tanking next year. We'll do the last one here. In order to have less money, big minutes, and a starting role LeBron in the future, Austin Reeves would have to be traded unless Austin's okay coming off the bench. Probably need to choose Luka, AR, or Braun, 3-and-D, and a center next season. So if you were to pick, but we know what the answer is. If you're the Lakers and you had to choose between Luka and Austin or LeBron, you're picking Luka and Austin, right? And it's more so about picking Luka than anything else. And the Lakers have already made that choice.
Yeah, I came on the show last time. I said the Lakers need to prioritize Luka above everything. Like, screw a Giannis trying to get him. If he's going to make it hard for you, this and that, maybe wait for forever. You need to build your roster. You need to prioritize Luka. So, like, yeah, of course they're going to prioritize. But it's not even like if LeBron was 26, 27, and like these guys are, I mean, shit, they're going to prioritize LeBron. Like,
oh, yeah. If like LeBron was the same age as Luka, right? This team is awesome, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, they are prioritizing LeBron in that
it's
situation.
Mostly just that. It's mostly just the age. Like, you can't prioritize the 41-year-old. The thing is, I don't care if LeBron was still like a top 2 player in the league. You still can't prioritize the 41-year-old when your next guy would be a top 3 player in the league. You just can't do it.
Yeah, can't do it. So. Okay, well, I know this wound up being very Lakers heavy, but that was the big topic bouncing around tonight. A lot of people talking about, oh, look, the Lakers are better without LeBron. So I was glad we were able to go a little more in depth into that conversation without just devolving into the extremes on either side, and take a look at really what that would look like, what it means, what's the truth behind the numbers, all that sort of stuff. We appreciate everybody. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure you hit the subscribe button here on the Basketball Bulletin. We cover the entire NBA here. I know sometimes we get a little Lakers heavy, but we do cover the entire league here, all the latest breaking news, all that sort of stuff. Please make sure you do hit that subscribe button, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Things are heating up around the league, man, in terms of the playoff push and all that. It's an exciting time.
Oh, yeah. This is with the West being as congested as it is, there's just no way to predict it. So every game counts from here, and it's definitely fun to watch.
All right, everybody. Thank you. See ya, and stay safe.